And hello and welcome to episode 43 of the GrowCast Show. I have with me, who you saw as the host in episode 42, Erwin Dawson, and he has turned his role around to become a guest. And Erwin is an actor, a host, a debt consultant, and he's also a Reno Specialist at Your Reno Works. And Erwin, thank you so much for doing this impromptu episode. How are you feeling today, my man?
Hey, I'm good, man. Thanks for having me, bro.
My pleasure. Yeah. And Erwin, I want to start all the way to the start. But before I do that, I must always ask the most important question, which I ask everybody, which is, what does being better than normal mean to you?
Being better than normal. What does it mean to me? Okay, let me think before I answer this. Being better than normal. Okay. So I hold on to this principle. If you want to do something, you go hard or go home, right? So being better than normal. Okay, normal, everybody's normal. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but you don't shine out. So being better than normal is to actually go hard or go home, bro. Because the moment you put in that extra step, which normal people don't put, you're already one step ahead.
I absolutely agree with you. And what makes you better than normal?
Me? I would say, I know it's kind of a bit of a self-praise, but I would say my genuinity. I'm sincere. I do not, for example, when I meet clients, right? Even though I'm in the sales line now, I do not put money as a priority. I do not go I want to close this client by hook or by crook. I would really, really try my best to listen and cater to their needs. As much as I can, I would recommend whatever that is best for them, not best for me. Because best for me is just taking their money. But it's more for them. Yeah.
Makes perfect sense. You think in their interests.
Correct.
And maybe we can also talk about, you said you're in the sales line now. We'll come to that in a while. But how did you get started as an actor?
Okay, it's a funny story. It wasn't me that wanted to be an actor. It was my best friend, Ahmad Tarmizi. He wanted to go for this Anugerah screen. Okay, it's a reality TV in Suria in 2010. So he asked me to accompany him. So when I accompanied, and then for me to accompany him, right, I have to be one of the participants to go through the barrier. So I just signed up. And long story short, 3 months later, I emerged the winner. So that's how I became an actor.
And what does Tarmizi got to say about that?
He was he's a funny guy. So he was funnily upset saying that second round he got kicked out because he said his R is R. So judges say hey, your R rusty cannot make it. Some people they cannot pronounce R. Right? Yeah. So he was a bit pissed off. He said, I'm a better actor than him. What?
Very nice. Yeah. And so is that how the journey got started? What were the few important roles that you have taken on as an actor?
I guess if you're talking about the first spurt of my career, right, it was one of this drama called Anak Metropolitan 3. People like all this gangster kind of stuff. So I was the main villain. And because that show already had its own franchise, I was in season 3. So they had that followers who was, when I was young, I was watching that show. Then when I became an adult, people who are my age also, I want to see part 3. So there was naturally more viewers. So it kind of sparked the growth of my career from there onwards.
And at this point of time, were you doing mainly acting in Singapore or Malaysia?
I was in Singapore as an actor for about 5 to 6 years before I moved to Malaysia for 7 years. And then COVID happened. I came back. And I just stayed in Singapore ever since.
What would you say, Erwin, is the difference between the entertainment scene in Singapore and Malaysia?
Okay, the answer might not be very nice to say, but I'm someone who likes to call a spade. I don't like to beat around the bush. So in Malaysia, because of the population and because of the percentage of Malays there, and I'm in the Malay industry mainly, right? Even though I did a bit of Channel 5, but it's really like an industry there. It's like a full-grown industry. So when you are there and you are at a certain point of your career, right, you do really get treated like a celebrity. But in Singapore, when you see a celebrity, you're like, hey, I know that guy is an actor. Then you just bobodo, Yeah, so the difference is the intensity. People really, really do look up to celebrities to a certain degree. And when there's gossips, you really can feel the reaction from the public as compared to Singapore.
So do you feel that the Malaysia acting scene is more developed than the Singapore acting scene?
At this point, I would say yes. To be very fair, in the 60s, 70s, right, it all started in Singapore. Malaysians came to Singapore to develop an acting career, to do recording for songs, But over time, I guess it is more well received there now. It's more developed.
So we know, Erwin, that when Singaporeans, when they move to Malaysia, whether be it business or acting or singing, they are treated better in Malaysia. Their value is higher. Why do you feel that's the case?
If you ask me personally, generally, I feel like the Malay race is more, they're very welcoming. You know, I mean, of course, in every race, there's a bit of innate racism and whatever not. But to really act on it, you know, like what's happening in the West, it doesn't really happen. And I guess another thing also is because of, after living there for 7 years, I've heard some of their opinions. So they have this perception that, oh, because of the reputation Singapore has, you know, the government has created Singaporeans to be hardworking, you know. But that's the thing, you know, they don't know that we still have our bad bunch. But because of that perception that, oh, Singapore is a developed country, it's well-to-do, so naturally they see like, oh, okay, they're reliable. I guess that's why lah.
And what would you say, Erwin, was your peak in your acting career?
Oh, when I started doing films, because it is not easy for somebody who started off in the drama scene to be given film roles. So I've done about 4 to 5 films. Mostly I'm in the main or supporting cast lah. So when you have done films, your value somewhat go up. Like, hey, this guy does film now. So in Malaysia, that's how it is lah.
And what advice, Erwin, would you have for budding actor in Singapore or Malaysia?
Okay, I always get this question. They will say, Bang, how to be an actor? You know, I'm like, okay, how to be? My route is a bit different. I just got lucky because, you know, I went to a reality TV and there's not much going on in Singapore. So if you want to know the old school way, I don't know how to advise. But if you do get a breakthrough in the scene, right, don't waste your time. Get to know the people behind the scene, the directors, the producers. But do come off as sincere lah. Do not pretend. Because everybody can sense that, okay, this guy's just being nice because he wants something from me. So, and I guess one thing that I hold by, like I said, I'm genuine. So, if I feel like I can, after I get to know this person, I can get along, then okay lah, I judge roughly on the character, then I'll really, really try to get to know them. Then from there, I mean, they will know lah, your interest is actually to get on their good books so they can offer you jobs. But if they like you as a person, then you pretty much won half the battle already. So, I would say just be sincere lah. Do not really come onto a person having this expectation, this person gonna help me. Yeah.
Makes sense. And I know you also made that transition from acting into business, right? So tell us a bit more. How did you transition from going into acting into business?
Well, thanks to COVID, when I came back, it was a lockdown and I didn't know how long the lockdown was going to be. We thought it was going to be a month or two like SARS or, you know. But when it went on for too long, right? Okay, and during that period, I actually did food delivery. I was doing Food Panda. It went a bit viral on online, on newspaper, and even other media outlets. And because of that viral article, one of the bosses of Adyu Debt, which is the consultant firm that I'm doing, the debt consultant, he approached me on Instagram and he asked me if I would like to work with them. And I got curious, so I dropped by their office and they explained about what they do. How I thought it was debt collector, I thought it was Along or something, you know. But they say no, we are actually the opponent of them. We get people out of debt. And I was like, what is this? I've never heard of this. So they explained further and I realized, hey, this is good. You can help people while you're earning. Then, okay, sign me up, you know. So they made me like the face of the company and the rest is history lah. Until today, I'm still doing with Adyu Debt lah.
Very nice. And how did you transition into your renovation business at Your Reno Works?
Okay, I mean, before I even get to that, right, the whole transition, right, the challenge was me getting out of my comfort zone because by then I've been acting for about 10 years. And ever since I finished NS, that's most of what I've done. You know, I've done part-time jobs here and there, but when after 7 years, getting jobs in Malaysia like nobody's business, I had no problems. And suddenly now I was a delivery rider. But one thing about me, I was always very optimistic. So I just like, alah, never mind lah. Rather than I stay home, I just ride bicycle lah. No, I ride bicycle, send delivery. Then you see, good outcome came. You know, I got an offer to be with Adyu Debt. And the challenge for me was, oh man, all I know is acting now or hosting. So what is this? What I dealing with money, helping people out of debt, and then moving to renovation. So that was when I need to spark up my street smartness, you know, and I start to, okay, I only got O-levels. What can I do to earn how I used to earn? Because O-levels, you go full-time job, you're not going to earn that much. So I did what I had to do. I did some research. I realized marketing is evergreen. Marketing is essential at any time, unless it's, of course, World War lah. So, you know what? Marketing, I don't need to go poly. that I can just sign up for a few day courses. So that transition of me getting out of my comfort zone from somebody who is always on TV and all he does is that, and then now I have to do something so different. Yeah, and which leads me to your question about how I transition to renovation. So in Adyu Debt, right, we have people who do it part-time. So one of the guys who are in Adyu Debt, he's actually the owner of Your Reno Works. And I've used to work with him before because he's also a bassist. So I was singing for his band for one point of time. It was just for that one song. And then when I saw him again in the office, I said, hey, you also do Adyu Debt? It's like, yeah, I'm doing Adyu Debt. So I was thinking, Adyu Debt, I can earn okay. But how else do I earn more? I want to earn more. Then I was thinking, what else can I do with O-levels? So there is property for one, there's renovation. So these are high ticket items that doesn't require you to have a degree. And I told him, I said, hey bro, you can teach me, I join your company. So he guided me since then. So I've been doing it for 2 years now.
And which one do you feel that you are naturally inclined as person to, Adyu Debt or Reno? I know you love both.
Yeah.
I know you like both.
Yeah.
But naturally, let's say if somebody asks you one time, right, which one are you naturally inclined to?
Well, I'm a bit torn between these two, but I would say I'm a chameleon, bro. I try my best to do like I say, go hard or go home. So naturally inclined, maybe Adyu Debt because I've been doing it longer, for at least 4 years as compared to Reno, which is 2 years. But I would say I'm comfortable with both right now.
Let's talk a little bit about the Reno business as well. What are the challenges when you started? Because I know you learned marketing and then you transition obviously into sales. Not the easiest thing in the world. But what was your number one challenge when you started at Reno Works?
Okay, closing leads. Because a lot of my colleagues would say, bro, you actor, bro. The Malay industry, for sure, you can tapao. No, bro. It's not the same like property. You see, property, your commission is pretty general. Everybody's earning the same. It's fixed at, 1%, I would say. But when it comes to renovation, and some more, my company, our main clients are in the lower to middle income, right? Spending, they can't care less if you're an actor or not. If I go to you, your quotation is 40,000. You're an actor lah. But I go to another company, 35,000 for the same thing. Do you think they would care if I'm an actor? So I guess at that point of time, I had a bit of hope. I'm like, maybe I have one step ahead lah. Huh? Oh, further from the truth, bro. Yeah, so I have had many quotations. Of course, I have my fair share of closings lah, but it is not as easy as I thought it would be because of my credentials. Yeah, so I had to overcome that mentality. You know what? I'm just the same as everyone else in this game. In renovation, it doesn't help whether you're actor or not. Yeah.
And I mean, let's talk a little bit about, because as an actor, like you said, right, the branding is already there, right? But how important do you feel is branding for salespeople, or how important is branding for business owners?
Oh, bro, definitely now in this day and age, right? It's definitely highly, highly important. Okay, what I see, there's a few tiers in business lah. The top ones would be the ones with money to spend on marketing and they do their marketing right. The ones slightly below, they know of marketing, they do to their best of ability. And then there's slightly lower who only have marketing as a form of social media. That means they only do whatever amateur content they can do. And then there's the one below who totally do not depend on marketing. So they are really, really depending on the old school word of mouth. So for me, right, you have to do your best to really, really get to the top percentage, because everybody's making noise now. Everybody is on social media. Every business, as much as they can, they're trying to post here and there. So if you don't have a solid branding, right, you're not recognizable, and there's no trust. Like for example, if you look at old school television, whenever you see companies that keeps appearing on advertisements, even though you don't know this company, but eventually because you are exposed to them so many times, and then like, hey, I think I want to go to this company if I need a certain product, as compared to somebody that has not been appearing anywhere, people are not familiar with it. Yeah, so branding is very important, bro.
Very true, and that's essentially that's what they call the mere exposure effect. That's actually a real thing called the mere exposure effect. And I like what you said about trust as well. And then because I help my clients build this thing called a trust funnel, right? Maybe I want to ask you, how important is it for business owners, right, to earn their clients' trust fast?
I mean, if you're talking about importance, right, I would say it's very important, bro, because your very rice bowl depends on clients. So if you can gain one person's trust, that means you have done something right. And that would lead to word of mouth. And actually, for long-term sustainability, right, if you are able to get everybody to trust you and you're doing your job right, that's why they trust you, that means you are inevitably heading for success. there's no way you're not going to be successful. Because there's a reason you're trustworthy.
And let's talk about that as well. So trust with Your Reno Works, right? So why should somebody trust Your Reno Works to do their renovation?
Okay, so disclaimer, what I'm about to say, of course, it's selling my company, right? But to be very, very frank, of course, there's always going to be people who are upset with us. You know, there's so many personalities we face. Some people never think they're at fault. Some people, they are very convinced that even though we explain to them, this is what we have said, this is in records, this is in the contract, but they can spin things around to say, no lah, this company not so good. There's always that kind of people. But I would say generally why I'm proud to be with Reno Works, because you see, I have something on the line. I cannot join a company that, oh, this guy is dodgy or this company is scam, got bad history. I cannot. So I had to do research lah. I met people who happened to, I also engaged with Reno Works before I came into the company lah. And then I read their online reviews and I have to read non-bot accounts because those anonymous accounts can be paid. So I have to look through Google review, Facebook review, see the comments when they post, like the owner say, oh, by the way, thanks, really, you did a great job. Thanks for, I really love my house. And I realized that their star ratings is 4.9/5. And there's not just like 5 comments. We're talking about lots of comments. So I feel like, don't tell me these people are praising for just the sake of doing a favor, So that's when I decided, I think I'm going to go for Reno Works because they have the credibility from online. And I've not really heard such a bad news, So whenever I do, I'll always verify. And as you know, as always, there's always 2 sides of the story. And, of course, human nature, we don't want to be wrong. Customers don't want to be wrong. That tends to happen every now and then, yeah.
Makes sense. And how long typically does renovation in a HDB take?
Okay, for BTO, 2 to 3 months. For resale, if there's a lot of hacking involved, 3 to 4 months.
And how long does a renovation take for, let's say, a private condo?
About 2 to 4 months or so. It really depends on the scale of things that they're doing. If there's so much to do, then it will take longer. Yeah, especially if there's a lot of tiling works. Because tiling works, the labor is actually, they have to do square feet by square feet, So it might take a while for it to dry up, etc., etc.
And I think we've covered so many questions today, but I got one very important last question to ask you before we go, which is what number one advice would you have for anybody who's considering renovating their house?
Okay, number one advice would be do your due diligence well. That will not guarantee that you might get a good consultant because sometimes the company might have a good reputation, but who knows, they might have a new consultant that will screw it up. But to reduce the probability of you having a tough time, make sure they have a lot of good online reviews from genuine accounts. Identify that it's not just anonymous with no photo. Look through their social media, look through the comments. If you can see that the customer themselves comment especially, that would show a good sign. Make sure that it is, something more helpful would be if it's a referral. Yeah, because if let's say I've done my house and you come to me, bro, who did your house? Did a good job. Oh yeah, you can hear from him yourself whether this person did a good job or not. Yeah, which is why for renovation, right, most of our clients eventually will be referral based. Yeah, so yeah, because the person has a good sales pitch, you sign up lah. Don't just fall for that because bro, you have no idea the number of scam that has happened in this country, bro.
Totally agree because even I myself got scammed for a cleaning company very recently.
Are you serious?
Yes, I did.
Man.
Yeah, so that's a story for another day. But I totally agree with you because like I said, I help clients build this thing called the trust funnel, right? So the trust funnel essentially is 5 things, which is TRUST. T is your testimonial videos, which is very important. I would say one testimonial video is equal to like 10 or 20 Google reviews because videos don't lie, but reviews can lie.
True.
R stands for a referral system, like you said. The best kind of clients usually come through referrals. U is having a unique story and a unique selling point, a unique superpower. I feel every business does that, and I feel you guys have that as well. S stands for your social media branding, your social media lead generation, because you can't rely on organic. That's not how social media works anymore. You need to make sure you've got leads coming in on a consistent, predictable basis. That's your S. And my last T in my trust funnel is what I call tangible business and marketing assets. Your websites, your PR, your landing pages. If you've written a book, on any topic, that makes you an authority as well.
Yeah.
So that's essentially a trust funnel, which I love so much, which I feel is very, very helpful for business owners. What is your take, before we go as well, what is your take on the renovation industry in Singapore? Because the competition is also very high, right?
About 3,000 companies, bro. So, okay, like I said, in every business, right now in this modern day and age, there will be competition in any industry you go. So instead of worrying about, I don't want to do this business because got so many people doing it. In every industry is like that. So you should be more concerned about what value can you give to your client. You should be more concerned about what you can offer that is different from the rest. But with that being said, that does not mean you should just try to be unique for the sake of being unique lah. That doesn't mean anything. You must make sure it adds value. You must always put the customer first. What can you do for the customer? The moment you have that in play, the rest will just fall to place naturally lah.
I totally agree, because if you help enough people get what they want, you will eventually get what you want, right? Are you still acting though?
Yeah, but I would say I'm just a part-time now. I only take jobs when I feel like it's worth it, or when I feel like I enjoy the crew or the cast. Yeah, but it's not something I do full-time lah.
Very nice. And thank you so much. Anything else, Erwin, that you feel I should have asked that I missed out, or anything else that you would like to share?
For now, no. I actually just appreciate the questions as it is. I just would like to end it off by telling people out there, remember that you're the byproduct, the average of the 5 people you spend most of your time with. So if you're wondering why you can't make it in life, think through the 5 people that you spend most of your hours with. I mean, when we say hours, right, that means if you work 8 to 5, for sure your colleagues is definitely one of them. It's not something that you choose. It's something who you go and think about who are they. And you take the average, you are that. So how to get out of this circle, right, is you have to branch out, explore. Okay, if I want to do business, I need to have a business owner in my circle. But why would they entertain me? How do I get to know them? So all this, right, you need to find the answers. You don't just, alamak, how and then you just bobodo. Cannot. You have to find the answers. Because the answers are there. You must always remember there are people who have done it. They are no different from you. They may be smarter in a certain way, but one thing that every successful people have in common is the never say die attitude lah. Yeah, so just bear that in mind. Nothing good comes easy.
Totally agree. In fact, I dare say I can take it one step further. So let's say if you want to know what is your future earning potential, right? You just take your 5 closest friends that you have, or 5 people that you take that you spend most time with, right? You take their monthly,
divide by 5.
That's going to be your average. It's accurate 80% of the time. I've done it so many times. And then if you remember, Erwin, when we go back in school, if you count your O-level score, your A-level score, you go and look back your closest 5 friends that you spend time with, right? You divide by 5, that would have been your O-level, A-level score. And that is 100% true. So there's no doubt exactly in what you say. And that's very, very important as well. And thank you, Erwin, for spending time with us today. And that was Erwin Dawson, episode 43 of the GrowCast Show. Actor, host, debt consultant, Reno Specialist at Your Reno Works. And we will see you at episode 44. See you, everybody.